The Mazda CX-5 has been a popular car for the brand since it hit the scene in 2012. The second generation came around in 2017, and so now, 7 years on, we're wondering, is it getting a little bit long in the tooth, or is there some life in the old girl yet? We have the top of the line Akera trim here, so let's have a look. One of the great things about the CX-5 is that they're instantly recognizable. The second generation still resembles much of the first, and you see so many of them on the road, you instantly know what you're looking at. The Mazda design philosophy still holds up, but I'm thinking compared to some of its contemporaries, it's starting to feel a little bit tired and small. In the higher trim levels, at least from the touring up, the CX-5 rides on 19-inch wheels in different styles for each one. You can option up a different set for the Akera than seen here, for about $2,000 to $3,000, at least according to the Mazda website. So as said, the CX-5 has been around for quite some time. During that time, there have been a lot of changes, there have been a lot of additions, and there've been a lot of things removed as well. Mazda took away the diesel engines, and so what we're left with are two 2.5 litre 4-cylinder options. One of those is a naturally aspirated, and the other is the turbo version. Now, I did have the chance of driving the CX-5 Touring a couple of weeks ago, and that had the 2.5 NA, and I'm just going to say this. If you're looking seriously to get a CX-5 and you've got that little bit extra money, get the turbo engine. The NA just really, it even sounded like it just struggled to do really basic tasks. The engine didn't make a particularly nice note at any rev level, and seriously, you're not even saving on fuel economy. I've basically got the same fuel economy figures out of the turbo version. There is obviously a price difference, and I believe you can only get the turbo with the SP or the Akera grades, but yeah, this is the engine you want. It can get about things without too much fuss. It's those places where it kind of does show its age. We're still connected to a 6-speed transmission. It's fine, but you do wonder if, is there options for some improvement there as well, a bit more refinement, which probably could help with the fuel economy too. The CX-5 Akera starts at about 53,000 drive away. That's with the NA 2.5. The Akera with the turbo will start from about 55,000, and as this one's optioned with the metallic paint, it's about $795 on top. This car is priced at about 56,400 drive away. So there is a difference of $3,000 for the turbo engine, but if you can spare that little bit of cash, as I said, you're not saving on fuel economy at all by not getting the turbo version, so just consider that. The Akera comes with Napa leather seats in what they call dark russet. It's this dark brown sort of tone, and it's pretty subtle. In certain light you don't even notice, but it is really nice. It feels good. It's nice to have electric adjustability here as well in these higher spec levels. Some of the lower ones don't have that at all, and it can make you feel like you're sitting quite high, which might be what you're after, but for someone who's tall, we don't want to be sitting too high in a cabin either. So this is as low as it can go, and it feels nice. Well, across the road, duckies. Oh yeah, there we go. You can use, and and we have full 360 cameras as well, so I can see if those ducks made it across the road. And they did. There we go, some ducks in the car review. So, as you'd expect, the Akera is fully loaded with all Mazda has to offer for the CX-5 in this generation. Look, it's a Mazda, so things feel really nice. You're everything that you're touching and everything that you look at just looks and feels of a decent quality that you come to expect from the brand. A lot of people do think that you do sometimes end up paying a little bit more than you should for a Mazda, but I think the car kind of holds up. I mean, you know, the quality of everything around us is quite nice. It's a nice place to be. The main things that I would say are that the car just feels a little small compared to its contemporaries. When when it's compared up against RAV4s and things like that, they've certainly grown in size, and the CX-5 feels like maybe it's been left behind a bit. For getting around town, it's a decent and capable car, and obviously plenty of people agree, considering just how many of them are out there these days. Every second car you look at just appears to be a CX-5 of some sort. We have 3 drive modes to choose from through the My Drive system, which is normal, sport, and then there's off-road. So you can select those as needed quite easily just through the selections down here. We have a traditional gear shifter still, which is easy enough to use. And if you want to go through the gears manually, you can slide the gear lever across, and it's the standard forward for go down a gear, and it's pretty responsive. And backwards to go up a gear. And as an alternative to that, you also have the paddle shifters behind the steering wheel too. Got that 6-speed gearbox. When you're in sport mode, it will hold on to gears, and sometimes it feels like it just holds on to them because that's what it feels like it's programmed to do. Yeah, it's like, oh, I need to be in sport mode and I need to hold this gear just so it feels sporty. And yeah, that's a little bit, well, it's not right, is it? On some occasions, I've actually had to force change up, and then it's just down changed automatically on me. And I'm like, okay, that's not quite what I was after, but if that's what you're going to do, so then you end up switching out of sport mode. So sometimes there's little bits of unrefinement there. Yeah, like right now it's holding me in a gear rather than changing up, and I've manually changed, and it's down changed again. So it's not always the most refined kind of thing, which I've kind of noticed, which is a little funny, a little bit weird. I'll see if I can recreate that again, because yeah, it should change up. It should be changing up by now, and it's not. So yeah, it's like I'm in sport mode and I'm just going to keep it sporty by letting the engine rev, which is no. Revving, force it to change up, and it's down changed. See? It's like, no, it's this false. Yeah, it's not right. Just stay in 4th gear. All right, it did that time. This is a little bit weird. Anyway, that's it with the that's my little pickup with the gearbox. Anyway, I don't know. I'm guessing a lot of people who are going to drive the CX-5 are probably not going to leave it in or even use sport mode. So, but anyway, that's what I've noticed. We have a nice head-up display, which the higher trim levels all have, and that brings up all your relevant information, which is and can be customized. You can move it around. There's quite a large field of view that you can move that around in as well. So it actually by default sits very high in the screen, but then that's kind of where your eye line is. So yeah, but you can adjust that to your liking. We do have a wireless charger for your phone in the middle here, and it's been a bit of a talking point. When I had the touring version, this did not work to charge my phone at all. No matter how I sat the phone in there, it just wouldn't work. I tried my wife's phone, didn't work either. So I don't know if it was that particular car. I looked up online and saw that people had had issues with theirs as well, and even just the way the cradle is set up, go over a couple of bumps or hit the brakes too hard and the phone will come out of the pocket. The phone will move out of the charging cradle and things like that. So it's not the best design. However, I will say, for the Akera version, I've had no problems with it at all. It's worked every time. you know, same phones, and it's just been perfect. So I'm putting it down to the car. But if you do get into one, just check it. Obviously, it's got to work with your phone. You know, it's yeah. So just have a look into that. Aside from that, your USB points are in the center console here. There's nothing at the front where the phone is likely to sit. So if you do need to charge it, say if the charger overheats and won't charge your phone anymore, and you need to plug your phone in, that's where your connection points are. So it's a bit just something, again, you've got to kind of get your head around. But for the most part, this just remains to be a really honest and easy to drive car. And you know, I suppose it's easy to say when you're driving the top spec version, and I will say that I like this a whole lot better than the mid-spec Touring that I was in, but it mostly comes down to the engine, as I said before. We've been averaging, at least at the moment, it's telling me that we've been averaging 10.5 litres to the 100, which, look, it's not terrible, but it's also not fantastic. You know, certainly once you get into the hybrid powertrains that some of the other manufacturers are offering, you're going to get much better numbers if that's what you're chasing. Being that this is a turboed version, maybe you're not going to be so fussed about that sort of thing. And then so maybe you're looking at it from a different point of view, and then so how does the car drive, considering that it is a turbo version? And look, it goes well enough. Remembering that you are sitting higher off the ground, so the car will still float a little bit, but it gets around, it handles well, it soaks up bumps and takes corners with relative ease. Yes, on those fuel economy figures, Mazda do claim that this will do 8.2 to the 100. As I said, we're showing 10.5. So, I mean, it's always going to vary depending on your usage in any case. But as I said, I don't feel that it's terrible, considering, you know, age of the car and all that sort of stuff. So let's not get too worried about that. Okay, I'm not going to go too fast here, but let's. I mean, that was only up to 70, but you know, got going, had a bit of grunt there too, so not too bad. One thing I do find with the car is that the blind spot monitoring is really sensitive. You've already passed the car and they're in your rearview mirror, and it's still warning you about the car's presence, and that to me is that's a bit too much. I mean, I know it's a safety feature and it's up to you to decide and stuff like that, but yeah, that's just a long way out. So yeah, I don't know why it's so sensitive in that case, but yeah, just something to be aware of. Mazda offer a lot of paint choices for the CX-5, and a lot of them don't cost extra, which is great. So you have colors like jet black mica, eternal blue mica, deep crystal blue mica, platinum quartz metallic. They all don't cost a thing over the asking price. And but if you want some other shades for $795, you can get rhodium white metallic, machine grey metallic, polymetal grey metallic that this car is in, sol red crystal metallic, and zircon sand metallic. Mazda obviously offer their own inbuilt navigation, which is pretty fine, as you'd expect. Once you hook your phones up, and I have to say on that, it's wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is great. Once you hook your phones up, you might just end up using your phone app instead, which will just mirror onto the screen. And so one thing I have to mention there is that Mazda's way of doing things is that whilst the car's in park, you can use the touch screen, but once the car's in drive, you'll have to use their little navigation wheel, and that does take some getting used to, just going through all the screens and getting to where you need to go, etc. I know it's a safety thing, but I've been so used to in other cars now just swiping and using the screen that being forced to use the wheel is just a little restrictive. But you know, it's in all their cars. I remember the CX-90; it was the same. So you would just get used to it, and you'd be fine. Our Bose 10 speaker system is pretty good, as you'd want it to be at a top level. And for those colder days, certainly some we've had recently in Sydney, the Akera trim comes with heated front and rear outer seats and heated steering wheel. And I've always laughed whenever there's a heated steering wheel. I'm like, you know, when are you ever going to use it? But yeah, there've been a couple of days recently where I thought, yeah, you know, that actually makes some sense. So yes, don't knock it. If it's there, it's an option here as well. Mazda have really nailed getting into the rear rows of their SUVs. You can see here the door swings almost 90 degrees open, and you'll see this also on their other SUVs like the CX-60 and the CX-90. Rear legroom, look, it's fine, but yeah, as I said, I think the CX-5 is starting to look a little small compared to its rivals, which have grown in size through the years. It's fine enough. But this is me sitting behind myself, and I can imagine that on a longer trip this is probably not the best. I also would think that if you wanted a rear-facing child seat back here, it's probably not going to work without seriously compromising the front passenger seating position. So just something to consider, but otherwise it's not too bad. I guess if you have established children and not super young kids, this could still work for you. You know, and how nice is this leather? It's really subtle, but in certain lights you definitely notice the darker shade. Another thing too worth mentioning is that yes, the Akera trim does have a sunroof, but we're definitely becoming more accustomed to full panoramic roof offerings nowadays. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the next generation of the CX-5 that would be what we'd be seeing instead. You know, I'm here for that. At least in the second row, we do have some air vents, although it isn't a separate climate zone. We do also have a fold-down armrest with USB ports for connectivity, so they have thought of that. One of the nice convenience features that Mazda have included with the CX-5 is that as long as the key is in your pocket, you can close the doors and walk away, and the car will lock itself. Heck, I found you don't even have to walk away. It does take a bit of getting used to though. I'm still feel more confident pressing the button or touching the doors just to make sure the car is actually locked. It's pretty cool. Boot space is 438 litres, which is okay considering again the size of the car and that it hasn't expanded with its contemporaries. And once you drop the second row, that opens up to 1340 litres. Mazda have quite a versatile floor system in the boot. You can have a different floor surface by just flipping the floor plates around, which is nice and handy. Obviously you've got your spare wheel and all your tools underneath there too. One of the things I really like about the CX-5 is that you can drop each of the 3 rear seats individually if you like. So you can have just the middle seat down if you like, just to put something through, or you can have the left and the right. And yeah, the way Mazda have done that is really simple. There's basically 3 levers, one for each of the seats. So that's really handy. And as I said, this car has a lot of those really neat convenience features that just make things that bit easier. Does that keep it up with its contemporaries just on that? Possibly not. I think at this point there's probably some bigger things that you'd be looking at in a comparison against some of the rivals from other manufacturers these days, but they're certainly nice to haves. So yeah, when considering your car purchase, that's definitely something to look at. So I wouldn't be surprised really if the next generation CX-5 catches up to a lot of the competition, but I do think the 2024 version still has a lot of merit, and clearly a lot of people must agree because so many people are still buying them. They're still getting out there. It's a popular car, that's for sure. And it's been kind of good driving this one around to kind of see why. So I think really that's about it. I hope we've covered everything for you. If you've got any questions, please feel free to just sound off in the comments and let us know what you think. What would you like to see in the next generation CX-5? You got any requests? Surely it's got to be coming soon. So I think that's about it for this one. A big thank you to Mazda Australia for letting me play with their cars and bring these reviews to you. Thank you to Exhaust Notes Australia for the opportunity to review the cars for you as well. Big thanks to you for watching, sticking with me for this long. Yes, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button at least. You know, get onto our channel and see what other reviews are coming, what other cars we've got coming. Plenty of exciting stuff. Loving what some of the other guys have got cooking for you, so can't wait to see those. And yeah, let's hit us up on all our socials. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. So yeah, you can get your exhaust notes fix. And remember, we don't just do four-wheel stuff. We're one of the only ones who do two wheels as well. So if you're into your bikes, please look out for those too. I'm going to stop rambling. I've done my little spiel and I've got to return the car. So again, a big thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.